Hello and welcome to Divorce TV. I'm Suzy Miller, your divorce strategist. On Christmas Day in the UK, apparently 13 people filed for divorce online.
13 people on Christmas Day filed for divorce. I'll hedge my bets that most of them didn't plan. It was, they looked under the Christmas tree, you know, just like Love Actually, and they didn't get the diamond ring or the brooch or whatever it was, and they're like, where's that present? And it's gone to someone else, and so, yes, I've had it. I'm filing for divorce.
Not putting down lawyers who have a certain amount of financial knowledge. Would you say that if you want to talk about the finances, it's a good idea to actually speak to a financial expert?
Yes. Yes, no question. And I have a scenario very recently where a client, she had a settlement, it worked very well for the short term, but actually roll on 5 years, she's now having to downsize for the second time. So speak to a financial advisor, have a conversation with somebody who will take you on that holistic journey and work with you to build that plan.
I actually had a client, a young man, who his father left when he was 16 or 18, I think he was just doing his A-levels. And he felt like his whole childhood had been a lie because his dad had told him, I would have left 10 years ago, but I stayed because of you. So he also had that guilt on his shoulders. So we might think we're sacrificing ourselves by staying, but that's not necessarily the right thing. I think you're always going to mess up your kids whenever you do it, let's be frank.
There's always going to be an impact.
Exactly, there's always going to be an impact, and we just need to think about damage limitation.
And with EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, is that something that can help with guilt?
Oh, massively, yeah.
I think the most important thing is not to make an emotional decision, and this is where I come in. And so it's important that you don't say, well, I'm going to deal with him, you know, I'm going to get the house, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I've given him the best 10 years of my life, and all that, like many women like to say. And then you make decisions from the hip. So you decide to either go and take out a massive loan, or you decide to, I had a client who emptied the account, emptied the joint account, and when it came to settlement, there was no money for her, or, and they spent so much time in court, trying to deal with this. 3-4 years, they were both broke, one had to go bankrupt, just because you made an emotional decision. And I know it's difficult, you might be saying, well, you don't understand what I've gone through, Zina. I do.
If you're in an emotional, traumatised, very angry state, that's obviously going to affect how well it's going to work.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me quite nicely onto the word harm that hasn't actually been mentioned just yet. In restorative practice work, and in this field it would be called restorative mediation, we look at the impact of the harm that's being caused and also the best interest of the children, because sometimes we can get so embroiled with the anger and the emotions and so forth, and we forget actually there's other people and the effect on others. So as everybody else has already said, it is about the future. It is about helping people to cope with what's happening for them right now, to come together and have a real candid conversation in a facilitated way about the things that they can do now, the things that perhaps they might need to put off until later, and actually looking at beyond themselves. So it's the effect on the whole family rather than just for them and what's going on at the moment. But also the outcome of restorative practice is about looking at a positive way forward, whereas most divorces will end in very bitter senses, but we try to support people to end it in a positive way so that both people can move on for their futures. And you mentioned about women in particular, but there are quite a lot of men that are actually the bearers of the negative woman and the toxic attitudes and things as well. So we need to keep that quite open as well in our thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mostly, if there is one advice I give my clients is don't listen to anyone and don't talk to anyone about what you're going through, because all they'll do is, fuel negativity and fuel your anger, transferring it onto someone else.
So taking a holistic approach, working with a range of professionals is putting in a fantastic foundation long term, isn't it? Not just for co-parenting, but for your own life.
Yeah. And it ends up being less expensive than it would be, which lots of people fear that, I don't want to pay all these people, but it's actually gonna cost you less and gain you more
Yes.
if you speak to those who are not emotionally involved, because that's the key.
So I do invite mediators and lawyers who are watching this programme to come on, because most of the interviews I've got lined up with lawyers are American, so we don't want them getting ahead of us on this. So yeah, come and join us and be part of this conversation.
The marriage has failed. Don't blame your partner and say, you've done this, you've done. Let's look at a way that we can do this together for the benefit of the children or for the benefit of our property, asset, whatever. But what we can potentially
Agree on,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then that makes the mediation process much more favourable to both parties
And more likely to work,
Yeah.
to be blunt. I mean, I do feel very strongly that you need to help couples to be prepared.
So take control of that situation, but also think about timing. So think about the timing when you engage the professional. So don't burn through your free solicitor session. Go after having a conversation with somebody like me or one of my colleagues around the table. So it's take control, it's timing. And if I had a wish list, I'd like to be a little pixie that visits everybody when they get together before they get married, to then have a conversation around, okay, so it's great now, and then what happens when children come along? What happens when you buy a home? And then what happens if 10 years down the line, perhaps you're not together, or perhaps somebody's working overseas? So what does that plan look like then? So I'd like to have more people speaking about what's the plan B if it doesn't work out, because it's very rosy and wonderful now, but let's just talk about if it didn't. Who would have what? How would that work out? How would we deal with that between us?
My sister-in-law's gone through a divorce and she's done it so amazingly. She's just been able to go through it with her head held high, and it actually makes me quite emotional.
And they go with the mindset, oh, I'm gonna, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna smash you, I'm gonna get you, because I know her or I know him. If I say this, he'll flip, or if I do this, she'll go mad, and then I'll use that to my advantage. But by doing this work, then whatever the other one says, that anger and that all of that is theirs, it's not yours. So you can welcome whatever comes your way with a smile.
And not taking it personally.
Exactly, because you're detached, which of course at first drives the other one nuts.
They're not reacting like
no,
this.
exactly.
In conventional mediation cases, what happens, people are very positional. So it's, I'm not moving position because I think I should get, or this person's not moving position because they think they should get. What we try to do is remove that position and take it from the premise of actually accepting responsibility for your portion.
There are many situations with mediation, it can't happen. We can't have the mediation because you've only got one person who's ready.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the mediator can't reach out and go and talk to the ex. Do you feel there's a role for you in restorative justice to be the one who reaches out? Because obviously you do that a lot as part of the criminal.
Absolutely. However, when we can show both sides that they are both going to benefit, especially when there are children involved, a lot of finances and so forth, people that I've already spoken to about using restorative approach as an alternative have been very welcoming, because they say that if they take responsibility for what their actions are, and I take that to the other party, they're more likely to be open and listen.
Please don't do this at home. He was very angry. I shouldn't be laughing because it's horrible. He was very angry that he lost the house in the divorce. So he quite legally brought the money to the court, but he did it in single coins, and there were a lot of them. So he emptied them out in the court, and he was the owner of the bag, so legally he could take the bags away. So his wife was left with this massive pile of coins and no way to take it home. So
let's use the chocolate bar analogy. I love chocolate. I had Mars bar on the way here for breakfast. And will I feel good about it later? Probably not. I'll beat myself up about it. But I won't, because I have this great technique that I use that stops me doing that. I'll show you all